Hey, welcome back. I'm Dan Ward here with Yoga Collective, and we're going to work on the Sun Salutation today. But my idea is that I want to not just do a Sun Salutation and teach you the elements of it, but break it down and also give modifications for it. So maybe, I know some students, they're not quite ready for a Sun Salutation, and so they fake it, and when you fake it, it might not be that safe. So you want to take it step by step and build the proper strength and technique, and then over time, maybe a regular Sun Salutation is going to be fine for you. And then again, maybe not, and some of these modifications can be things that you can use throughout your yoga career, all right? So we'll start standing at the front of the mat. I guess I'll just face you so you can see what I'm doing. When you start the Sun Salutation, it starts from Tadasana. So this is the central pose of Hatha Yoga, and it's this standing at attention pose. So you find your feet. So first you want to take a look down at your feet and see that your big toes are touching, but your ankles, you don't want them to touch, I don't think. Maybe your heels are separate just a little bit. I guess it depends on the shape of your feet. So you want to work with your feet and see what's going on down there, and then spread them out. So you lift the toes up, and you can spread the long bones of your toes out, and then set them down. It may feel a little weird. We don't want to clench the ground with the toes, but we do want them kind of long, and then when they set down, you may begin to feel like there's this lift that can happen. It might be quite subtle, but in the inner arches of the feet begin to lift. So then you reach your hands down. Now some people, when they do Tadasana, they turn their palms out like this. I like to keep them next to the thighs. Again, there's lots of different ways to do this stuff, so you'll find what works best for you. So I'm going to reach down with my fingers, and then reach down with my feet, but also I'm going up. You go up through the crown of your head, up through your sides, but you're starting from the ground, it really goes up through your knees, up through your thighs, okay? And then your legs are internally rotated, so that the inner thighs are going to begin to draw back. It's complicated just for standing at the front of your mat, all right? So here we are, reaching down. The idea is, even though you're coming alive and your body's getting really strong here, that you don't want to become rigid. So there's a difference between toning and feeling energy flow through you, which does happen with muscular action, and becoming like frozen and blocked. The idea is that you're pulling energy up from the ground through your body, out the crown of your head, okay? So you start there and you just look straight ahead. Then you can bend your elbows and dip your chin and bring your hands to prayer here, and you can just feel a moment of looking within. Okay, and then bring the hands back down, look straight ahead, and look right through the center of your eyes. Then turn your palms out and float your arms up over your head. And as you do that, you'll inhale. And then as we exhale, we're just going to bring the arms back down to the sides. So it's this really neat thing where as your arms go over your head, it opens up your rib cage. And so it makes sense that it goes with an inhale. So let's try it together. So start with your Tadasana, look straight ahead, turn your palms out, and then inhale. Take your arms up over your head. And the palms don't need to touch. You can just come up to about here. You want to feel what feels good for you. And then as you come down. So the idea is that when those arms come up, you're turning your arms so that your tricep wraps towards your cheekbone. So here's a piece of yoga information. Anytime in yoga that your arm is over your head, you're in external rotation, tricep towards the cheekbone. And what that does, it's kind of like a perfect key in a lock somehow with your arms, so that you release the base of your neck and you widen your upper back. And also, when your arms go over your head, you're biomechanically inclined to look up. Now, you don't want to lead with your chin and shorten the back of your neck, but you may feel, just as those arms go up, that your gaze begins to rise as well. For some people, it'll be all the way up to the thumbs. Other people, maybe just a little lift. So that's the first part. Then you fold. Okay, so now folding, you need to support as you fold in half. And for a lot of people, that means that maybe having the feet together isn't the best idea. So you can do this with your knees bent, and your feet hip bone distance apart, especially when you're starting out. And I'm going to suggest that we do it even with our hands on our thighs, so that you can feel that you're hinging at your hips, but you're not collapsing your chest. A lot of people, when they aren't really properly educated, they start to fall to a fold, and they just are really rounding their spine too much. If you round your spine too much, it puts pressure on your spine. It's not so good for you. The idea is we're going to keep the spine long. It'll round a little bit. But we want to minimize that, okay? So we're going to press down on the thighs and fold forward. Keep lifting your belly. You're holding the ground with your legs, hugging your outer legs in so you're supported. And then you don't even have to fold all the way. You can put your elbows down on your knees. You could put your hands on your shins. So, people eventually, some yogis are going to put their hands down on the floor. You don't want to force that, but if that's your body, then you put your hands down on the floor. The idea is that we want a full body connection, the back body, so that it's not just a hot spot in your low back, and it's not just a hot spot in your hamstrings, and especially not a hot spot at the top of the hamstring as it attaches up there. You don't pick up your attachment there. You want to feel the whole body supported, and then you can bow. Okay, and then you'll inhale, come up halfway. So I might have been right here. This might have been my fold. And if I'm going to come up halfway, I'm just going to lift up and take my chest forward. So the next step is to step back to down dog. Or step back to plank pose, sorry. So you're going to put your hands down, and you could even get down on your hands and knees first, okay? And I like the idea of crawling around the mat. There's nothing to prove to anyone. You're working your way through things. You want to be honest with where you're at. When you're just starting out, support and being a little bit cautious is key, okay? Every pose is building a structure, and you got to have structural support. So then you can do plank with your knees down, okay? The thing we want to build is the ability to lower slow without collapsing. And so what happens to a lot of people is that their belly lets go and they drop their hips, and I can feel it in my low back. It doesn't feel good. It's jamming my low back. So I'm going to lift my navel a little bit and practice being here. Before I ever move, I'm just going to practice being able to do this with a straight line from shoulder all the way down to the knee. So I'm not creating a big bend here. Some people get to this point and they're like, okay, I'm doing it. But no, you got to bring your hips forward a little bit here, okay? Then when it's time to bend your elbows, you want your elbows to pretty much stay over your wrists and that your chest goes forward. So you might even walk your hands back a little bit. So once I'm here, I'm going to lower down. And instead of riding shoulders up, I'm going to pull them back and keep them wide, and I'll lower down slow. And even if I'm running out of gas here, it's okay to let go at the end. But you try to be nice and slow and steady and firm, and you may feel, whoa, this is a lot of pressure, and then you can let go at the end and put your feet down. Okay, so now we're going to work on a little bit of cobra. Now the idea is that you could make your spine get jammed again by just pushing your arms and letting your belly hang out. Instead, I want you to think about using your hands to pull your ribs forward, to pull your back forward, and to go forward, you got to go back too. So send your legs back and your heart forward, and then just press those inner hands and feet a little bit, and you come up just like an inch, and then you lower down again. And for me, bringing those back muscles to life, rather than going into a big range of motion, is more important to just bring the muscles to life. Sometimes first thing you might notice is that they're a little weak. You're like, okay, well, this is plenty for me. You don't need to rush on to some other place. You found your work. It's right there. It's kind of the neat thing about being a beginner or more tight or having injuries is you run into limitations right away. You don't have to go far to find the work. It's right there. Okay, so we do a cobra, a little bit, and then lower down. So normally you would tuck your toes and then press the plank pose and then go back to down dog. But this pressing up is pretty hard. So things that you can do is you can decide, I'm going to press up to my hands and knees. You're going to try to build strength, have stability in that spine, come up to your hands and knees, and you can even go back to child's pose first. Okay? So let's say we're going to come on up here, and then I'll tuck my toes. I'm going to take my hips back a little bit, and then I'm going to try to take my hips up to the sky. Now, down dog's a problem. Because unless you're an acrobat or a gymnast, you don't, or maybe you work in the circus, you don't put your weight into your hands. You don't walk around on your hands as an adult. So you need to be gentle with how you're going to approach that work, because wrist issues are super common in yoga. People do that down dog and they're just not strong enough, and so they're collapsing into their arms, their wrists are getting jammed, and it's just not good, it's not fun, it's not going to help. So I'd like to take you to the wall and work on a version of down dog called puppy dog. So I'm going to drag the mat over here. And I love this. This is like one of my favorite things to do, is this pose. Because you learn that just even being an upright, standing person, that you're compressing your spine. When you first get up in the morning, your spine's an inch longer. Then you stand up, and about 15, 20 seconds later, it shrinks down. So when we get parallel to the ground and pull the hips in one direction and the hands in the other direction, we're tractioning the spine, and it feels good. It makes space. Where there's space, there's freedom, and if there's no space, then things might rub into each other and compress and cause a whole bunch of problems. So this is how we do it. You put your hands on the wall, and then you walk away. I would start with bent knees. So here I am. I'm doing down dog, and I'm not putting a ton of weight in my arms. But I've got to train my arms, okay? So the same actions, we talked about going up over and that you're externally rotating your arm to take it over your head. You want that same thing to happen when your hands are on the wall. Your triceps are hugging in. All right, so the least stable joint in your body is your shoulder. So if you go too far into some danger zone without strength to support it, your shoulder may, not stay together. And the idea is that you want to have everything around it work properly to hold that space with a stable structure, stable shoulder girdle. So when my hands are on the wall, I'm not going to drop my armpit. I'm going to try to hollow my armpit. Okay, so I'm going to go to the wall and try this out. Put the hands on the wall, maybe a little higher than the hips, and then feet about hip bone distance. Hug the triceps in, so you're doing that external rotation in your arms. And lift the center of the armpit, and also draw your front ribs up into your body. That'll prevent you from turning your back into a hammock here. And then the good part is that you pull your hips back. You draw them back, and you can start to stretch your sides and stretch your spine. And one way to feel this is to alternate between bending a knee and the other knee. So if I bend my right knee, I can pull my left hip back more. We can do the same thing on the other side. And this is great. If you've been sitting in the car for a long time, if you've been at your desk, this is fantastic. Learn to decompress your spine. It'll change your life. Good. And I'm going to come on up here. And so I'm going to try to put it all together. I'm going to do a modified one, and then one maybe with fewer modifications. And, keep practicing this. Keep working with the different modifications, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so I'm going to start at the front of my mat. In Tadasana. Inhale, sweep those arms up slow. And then as I exhale, I'm going to fold, but I'm going to bend my knees. I'm going to take my feet a little further apart. Use the hands to support as you fold. You can take an extra breath here if you like, and you want to take your time with it. Then next inhale, come up halfway, heart forward. You pull the belly up. Then exhale, we'll put the hands down, and we're going to step back, put the knees down. I'm going to cross the ankles and take my hips forward a bit. One more inhale here. Exhale, go forward with your chest, bend your elbows, and lower all the way down. Give your weight to the ground. Then uncross the ankles, straighten your legs. Inhale, pull your hands back without moving them. Pick your belly up, and as you reach your legs back, your ribs go forward, and then lower it down again. Good. Tuck your toes. Inhale up to push up or all fours. You can take your hips back first to your child's pose variation, and then push your feet to take your hips up to down dog. Now, are you leaning on your arms, or can you press out of the arms? If you're at home, you can always just step a foot in, stand up, go to the wall. It's A-okay. A lot of classes take 5 breaths. You can just get up and go to the wall and work on tractioning your spine and strengthening your arms. And then you can go back, prepare for like the end of the salutation. It ends where it begins. So I'll go back to down dog and then step forward, take a walk forward. Start with elbows on the knees. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, use your hands for support. Bow your head, weight forward in the feet. Then heart forward, press those feet. Inhale, all the way up, sweep your arms up. And exhale, hands to prayer, step your feet together. And that's the Sun Salutation. I'm going to do one more, and this time it's going to be, well, I don't know if you'd call it classic. Regular old Sun Salutation. There's many different ways to do it. Here we go. Inhale, arms sweep up. Exhale, keep lifting as you fold forward. Keep lifting the belly, lift the thighs. Inhale, pull your heart forward, come halfway up. On the exhale, step one leg back to upper push-up, step the other leg back. Take one more inhale here. On the exhale, go forward with your chest. Lower down, maybe halfway or all the way. Then roll over the toes or untuck them. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Pull up the belly, reach back through the legs. And then exhale, roll over the toes. Push your inner hands forward as you draw your inner thighs up and back, down dog. Then 5 cycles of breath later, you draw back, inhale, exhale, up on the toes, look forward from the sternum and step or jump to the front of your mat softly. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold in, bow. Inhale, rise all the way, stand up, reach up, look up, and get taller as you exhale, arms down to your side. There you go. Sun Salutations. Have fun practicing yoga. See you next time.